Obviously, we're thrilled that we can supply the technology platform to FIRST, and it's a very important part of the experience. But what makes FIRST so special is, without a doubt, the mentors. They're the ones that are the real heroes for the kids that you saw on stage. They shape their view of the future and inspire them to do great things. Well, this morning, we're very fortunate to have one of the leading robotics mentors and perhaps one of the greatest evangelists for STEM education, both on and off the planet. Please welcome from NASA headquarters, the Associate Administrator for Education, Leland Melvin.
Ray. Oh, he killed me. How's everyone doing? All right, all right. This is very exciting. I think about the innovation. I think about these EV3s. I think about all of the technology up here. And it's come up because of a community of people that were dedicated to ensure that we can reach new heights and reveal the unknown, to do things for people all over the planet to help our civilization. Thank you, sir. So when I started working with NASA many years ago, I was using LabVIEW 1.0. I worked at NASA Langley Research Center in 1989, and there were a few little bugs in LabVIEW 1.0. We've come a long way, and I'm really excited to be here because I think about the students in the audience. Students, can you raise your hands? Those students, there you go, those students will be the next generation of explorers. They will be the astronauts walking on Mars one day. They will be building robots that are going to other planets. And so it's endemic that this whole community of engineers, scientists, community leaders, government, all of us together give these students everything they need to be empowered to do anything they put their mind to. And so I'm going to show you a picture of the Space Shuttle Endeavour that flew over Austin about last year sometime. Now, space shuttles have been retired. They have a new task now. Their task is to inspire and motivate in museums as we build new rocket systems and new robotic systems to explore the universe. Now, President Kennedy, back in the day, had us send a man to the moon safely and return him home. And I think about Neil Armstrong's one giant step for man, one giant leap for mankind. That happened because we did not give up. We had many rockets that failed. We had things that went awry. But as a nation, as a civilization, we did not give up. And that's how we got that footstep on the moon. I think about my background as a kid. Now, I didn't have any hair back then. I still don't have any now. But I think about my parents as middle school teachers, working with our community to get people inspired and motivated to think about STEM education. And in the summertime, my parents and I, we would go on these camping trips all over the country, and I would look up in the night sky and think, what is up there? It's so important that we give kids hands-on experiential activities, project-based activities, to make sure that they can make the connection with the physical world, the mechanical world, and the world of knowing. Now, when I was a kid, I did some things that I probably should not have done. I asked my dad for a skateboard. That was not one of them. Asked him for a skateboard. He said, no, you have to build it yourself. So that skateboard up there with my friend Butch, I built in a machine shop in my middle school. And then my mother gave me a chemistry set when I was a little bit older. Now, this was before OSHA had age appropriateness for chemistry sets, right? I mixed two chemicals and created the most fantastic explosion known to humankind in my mother's living room. And I burned a hole in the carpet, and that solidified my desire to be a chemist. Now, I did get a spanking for that, but it was worth it because that one event solidified, made me want to be a chemistry major. It made me want to be a scientist. And then I also love sports. Ray earlier talked about sports. We have some students who were working on some runners, measuring some things with the instruments. But I loved football, basketball, and tennis. And I remember my senior year in high school, I was a wide receiver on a running team. So you know what that means. You don't get many balls thrown to you. But on this one game, we were down by a touchdown. I'm lined up, by 2 minutes left, I'm running down the sideline, the crowd is screaming, crowd is screaming, I'm running, the ball is coming into my hand, what do you think happened? I dropped it, right. Unbeknownst to me, there was a college scout in the stadium looking to see if I could play at the University of Richmond. And my coach brought me to the sideline, thinking I was going to be benched. He grabbed me by the face mask, looked me in the eye, and said, Leland, get out there and catch the ball. This time I'm running down the sideline, the ball's coming, the crowd is screaming. I catch the ball because my coach and my team believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And that's what we have to do in the community. When we fail at something, we don't stop doing it, we keep going, we keep moving. That one catch resulted in a $180,000 scholarship to the University of Richmond, because when the coach heard the crowd, the scout heard the crowd screaming the second time, he looked down over the stadium and saw him in the end zone like this. So he said, well, maybe this guy, after such an horrific failure, can still play for us. And so students in here, there will be times when you fail, there will be times when you think you can't keep going. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. Where did it lead me? Led me to getting a job, making money, buying my own snowboard. Led me to being a chemist, as I said. And then my senior year in college, I was actually drafted to the NFL with the Detroit Lions. So I had an opportunity to go into camp, a couple of hamstring injuries with the Detroit Lions, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Toronto Argonauts had me go for my plan B, which was becoming an engineer. I got a master's degree in material science engineering, and I worked at NASA Langley for 10 years as a research scientist. We were using fiber optic sensors to measure strain, temperature, and chemical species on the X-33 vehicle's tanks, hydrogen tanks, as well as on the space shuttle. So I was using my LabVIEW skills, 1.0, little bugs, but it all worked out, on a lot of these aerospace vehicles. And it was amazing, amazing. And then a friend of mine said, you should be an astronaut. I'm like, what are you talking about? Me, an astronaut? I never thought of it. And handed me an application. I didn't fill it out. And that same year, a friend of mine filled the application out, and he got in. And I said to myself, if NASA's letting knuckleheads like that in to become astronauts, maybe I can become one too. So the next selection, I filled the application out, got in, and started training, and flew on 2 flights, STS-122 and 129, 2008 and 2009. And my job on the first flight was to do robotics. I was the robotic arm operator. And so if you look at the Columbus laboratory, you're going to talk to a few guys in a minute. They launched a rocket in Germany. My job was to install the European Space Agency's Columbus laboratory on the International Space Station. Now, I had never done this before. My first time flying. And before I went to fly, about 30 German flight controllers came up to me and said, Leland, congratulations, way to go. We've been waiting 10 years. The last one looked at me in my eyes and he said, we've been waiting 10 years. Don't screw it up. So as I'm installing the Columbus laboratory, minus X translation on the translational hand controller is slowly moving to the station. In the back of my mind, I'm saying, don't screw it up. It's moving closer, closer, closer. There are 4 ready-to-latch indicators that are spring-loaded. They're now pushing on the Columbus, and the motion is stalling out. Don't screw it up. One more pull, we dock it, we're safely there, and we save the day. After that, we had a moment over in the service module with other colleagues. We were invited over to have dinner in the service module. Dr. Peggy Whitson is the first female commander of the International Space Station, multi-billion-dollar outpost. Had African-American, Asian-American, French, German, Russian, the first female commander of the space station, all breaking bread at 17,500 miles per hour, going around the planet every 90 minutes. And we even had hot sauce there in the corner. Made the food even better. Second flight, now you see Dr. Peggy Whitson in the back is the head of the astronaut office. So it's just a testament that anyone can do any job if they want to. We flew in 2009. I'm going to show you a quick little video of what it's like to work and live in space. When I was 3 hours before launch, people always ask me, are you afraid? How did you feel? And I always think about the people that have perished, the people that have given their lives so that we can have the things that we have, the people on Challenger, Columbia, that were friends of mine that perished in 2003. And whenever I think about getting ready for a flight, sitting there in that moment, I think about I have to do everything perfect to honor that legacy. Those people gave their lives so we can be here and do the things that we do. So we're sitting on the pad, looking over our notes, trying to figure out exactly what's going to be coming up next. It's an amazing time because you're waiting for these solid rocket boosters.
7,
to life.
6, 5, 3,
A little shaking, a little rolling.
1, 0, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis on a mission to build, resupply, and to do research on the International Space Station.
So that's me there in the back right. I'm looking down at the planet, looking back where my parents and family are sitting. Takes us about 8.5 minutes to get to space. It was the most amazing trip. You feel about 3 Gs going through your chest. You're shaking, you're moving. It's really hard to see the screens because of the motion. As the SRBs come off, it gets a lot more smooth. And then you get to space 8.5 minutes later. The external tank is jettisoned, and now you are working in space. Now everyone says, did you get sick in space? And I want to say no, but both times I did. And you don't have the luxury of staying sick. You've got to get your job done. And so my job was to do robotics on this mission. We had about 10,000 pounds of spare parts to add to the space station on these 2 pallets. And we worked in both the small robotic arm, both Canadarm 1 and 2, on the shuttle side. So that's the shuttle side right there. And then we float over and we work on Canadarm 2, the big arm, to actually install these pallets on the trusses of the space station. Incredible, incredible moment. So a lot of working hard, but you got to play hard too. Boom! I took the hit for the team, right? Stupid astronaut tricks, eating Raisinets. You transfer things with your feet because you're pulling yourself around the station with your hands. And it's just an incredible, incredible time. Bob Thirsk, a Canadian astronaut, working on some experiments. Here's Randy doing the Superman maneuver. Look, Mom, no hands. Food is very important in space. We break bread with people from all around the world. This was our Euro night, so we were sharing these delicacies. Some of our Russian colleagues there, Nicole in the purple, we were bringing her back home. She'd been in space for about 4 months. There's Bob, and there's me always floating food to my mouth, Randy floating food to his mouth, and Scorch saying, good. So we've been up there for about 10 days, bringing Nicole back home. It was just an incredible time frame. We're going back to get in the shuttle to undock, come back home, and the 2 commanders are saying goodbye. More stupid astronaut tricks. Surface tension and water bubbles. Now, you can choke on this. Don't do this at home, okay? Almost choked in space, okay? Coming home, starting to build the Gs back up on your body, about 2.5 Gs that you feel. Your arms are kind of weak because you haven't really used them that much in space. And so now you're coming home, heads-up display, lining up over the runway in Kennedy Space Center. So it was an amazing trip. We had a great time, 4.9 million miles around the planet. International Space Station, we are working still there to maybe extend this to 2028. We have about 10 people up there working now, doing medical experiments, material science experiments, and using it as a test bed to see how we can get humans further out from low Earth orbit. Here is a picture of the Earth limb, sunrise and sunset every 45 minutes. And now we want to talk about education. How can NASA help show these wonderful missions with our wonderful content to do high quality STEM education using our unique capabilities? And that's really why we're here, because we want to help inspire that next generation with the missions and the things that we do. If you look here, you see some of the activities up on Space Station. Downlinks from astronauts. There's astronaut Dan Burbank talking to a kid in Southwest Virginia. We worked with YouTube for a Space Lab Challenge. 2 teams actually had their experiments flown to space. And Sonny Williams, one of my colleagues, was actually doing their experiments in space. Lego is a big supporter of what we do. We have a partnership where we actually have Lego bricks in space. And I'm going to show you a little quick video of that. How many of you play Angry Birds? Some of you out there? Yeah. We have a partnership with Rovio also, and then also the robotic spheres on the right side there where students in high school program these spheres from the ground, and they do mining tasks up on space station. Some of these partnerships are worldwide. Many of you know will.i.am, a performer who's been a big supporter of FIRST. He wrote a song after the Curiosity launch called Reach for the Stars, and that's kind of our theme song for education. We kicked off a program with him. Lego, Lenovo, Honeywell, FMA Live, and again, a lot of partners from all over that we work together to do STEM. Some of these partnerships in action, you see the Angry Birds, you see the Lego. I'm going to show you this in a minute. SpaceX Dragon capsule, they sent up 23 student experiments. We're working with a lot of partners to make sure that students can do the science and engineering in space. This is a gyroscopic simulation in space. LegoSpace.com has this on there, so check that out.
This is, again, the gyro on program. I'm going to start it. It's going to spin the gyro up, and then I'm going to let it go so it can free float. And I hope it's right here in your field of view. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to release it real nicely. Here we go. Pay particular attention to the end of this program. I think it does a hard break at the end. Okay? Here we go.
So students on the ground build this same experiment, and we do it in space, and we make
and there you have it.
So again, using this international outpost to do STEM education is one of the biggest things we want to try to do. As you know, FIRST is a big part of what we do. Dave Lavery, NASA spends about $5 million a year on FIRST, trying to develop new teams. We have mentors, supporters, people all over. Our 18,000 employees try to help support FIRST, so it's a great, great activity. And exploration, if you think about the really cool robot on Mars right now, Curiosity, it's downloaded about 190 gigabits of data so far in this past year. It's been up there for about a year. 75,000 laser shots and more than 70,000 images have been downloaded. We're now traversing up the side of the mountain to see if there are signs of past life. So these are some of the things that we want to use as tools to help students see that their robots that they're creating and developing right here can be used as analogs for the future robots that we're going to be building on other planets. Here's a challenge called the Exploration Design Challenge. We're working with Lockheed Martin to get students to build radiation shields for our Orion capsule. If we're going to Mars, radiation is one of the biggest problems that we're going to face as human beings. So take a look at this.
NASA is currently developing a new heavy lift rocket to carry a human-rated spacecraft called Orion Multi-Purpose Crew Vehicle. Orion will support deep space missions to asteroids, the Moon, and Mars. We are building an exciting future of discovery, science, and exploration that will challenge our world through lessons we are learning today. The International Space Station is helping prepare for these steps further into space.
Hi, my name is Sunny Williams. I'm a flight engineer on the International Space Station. Outside the protection of Earth's atmosphere is a universe full of radiation. It's everywhere. Space radiation, sometimes called cosmic radiation, is different from the types of radiation you find on Earth. It has very different effect on human DNA, cells, and tissues, and it's very difficult to predict the long-term effects of space radiation on the human body. Because of this uncertainty, we are running experiments to learn more about radiation. Some of the radiation detectors are small, others are a little bit bigger. Outside of the space station, we also have Materials International Space Station Experiment 8, called MISSY-8, and it's also gathering data to help us understand radiation protection required for interplanetary flight. We are charting a pathway for your generation's journey further into space, and we need your help. So get involved with NASA's newest design challenge, the Exploration Design Challenge.
This challenge is charting your journey to Mars by tracking one of the major challenges to deep space long-duration exploration, namely the dangers associated with radiation and the need to protect our astronauts as they venture into places never visited by humans before.
Register now for the Exploration Design Challenge. You and your team may be the student engineers who help NASA develop the technology needed to protect astronauts from space radiation as they travel to the Moon, asteroids, and Mars aboard the Orion. Chart your pathway to Mars.
right, so Sunny, she's been in space the longest. She's the longest woman who's been in space on space station, so she's really cool. But check out nasa.gov/education/EDC. The contest, the entry dates in March 2014. The students in high school that actually participate can have a chance to fly their hardware on the Orion capsule to space. And every kid that signs up and is part of this, their name will be flown on the vehicle. So check it out. The 4,000 people that are in here, reach out to a kid and let them know about this, the kids and teachers, because this is a very cool opportunity. Also, there's money from NASA for internships, intern.nasa.gov. Check that out. So if you're going to college, you can do internships in the summertime and in the fall. We have some really cool things that you can do there. There's an African proverb that says, it takes a village to raise a child. We are that collective village to ensure that every child has an opportunity to dream and live their dreams. Thank you very much. Godspeed.